a show and we're not laughing at the moment, people will think, "Uh-oh, they're not in a good mood tonight." Hi, everybody.
Oh, hey, yes, hey.
I'm glad you all could join us tonight. We are live across the interwebs, like LinkedIn, Facebook,
Interweb.
Isn't that kind of the corny term for the internet, the interwebs, when for people who really don't know what the heck they're doing?
You're
like
not that
me.
old. No, you do too know what you're doing.
Oh, I don't know about it.
I can give you examples of people who don't know what they're doing.
What we were talking about in the green room.
Actually, that's correct. That person didn't know what they were doing either. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Scott here. Scott was making a pasta, I think, tonight, if I remember, some sort of spaghetti tonight. I saw him post earlier today.
Scott is awesome. I didn't see him post that. He sent me a nice card, though. It's not sitting here because I showed it earlier. He did some more color pages. He and I do that to do card fronts with.
Right.
That was before I knew you, though. I was doing that. Yeah, spending a bunch of time coloring. Can you picture me coloring?
I don't know how to. Maybe. Hi, Teresa. Hey, someone whose Facebook user said, "Hi, Lisa and Jeff. We don't know who you are from that because we can't see it. So put your name in there because we want to say hi back to you." Hey, Scott. Oh, Scott's
spaghetti. Right. Yeah, Teresa Staples and I were with her friend June. Well, my friend too, June, and we went to the tavern yesterday. Okay. And I think it's June always has a mudslide. I forgot what I had. I forgot what I had. No.
I don't eat chocolate anymore because I don't eat sugar. So I'll say I rarely, Lucretia, I rarely eat chocolate. But gosh, I love chocolate. I
didn't have chocolate. We had lunch. Where did you have chocolate?
You said mudslide, and to me, that's something chocolate.
Oh, that was a drink.
But it doesn't have chocolate in it?
I must. I didn't have that.
I think so.
Yeah. The thing I had beer and whiskey in it. Is that
that better be your last meeting of the day if that's the case.
It was yesterday.
Otherwise, you'll need coffee.
Oh no, but it worked out great. Now Teresa's here though; she'll find out. A mule. She had a mule.
I like Moscow mules, and they'll have Texas mules too that are made with a Texas vodka.
Yeah, maybe. So that's what I had was a mule, I guess, because Teresa wasn't drinking. I think she wasn't drinking alcohol. Just me and June.
I know we got all this other stuff to talk about, but you're interrupting my chocolate mentality here. I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait.
Well, I can send you some brownies.
No.
Not helpful.
I'm not worthy.
I'm not worthy.
But no, I really did. I do love chocolate. I just don't eat flour or sugar except very rarely anymore. But back when Laurie and I were getting married, my mother-in-law was asking me what kind of groom's cake I wanted. And I said, chocolate. And she said, what kind of chocolate? And I said, gooey. And that's exactly what she did.
Oh, that's neat. Oh, groom's cake. That's a Southern thing.
Is it a Southern? They don't do groom's cakes up there in New Hampshire?
Wasn't it shaped like an animal or something? The groom's cake? What is it?
No, mine was just a square cake or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, I've seen some that were shaped kind of odd. I better not go too far into that discussion.
No, like in Steel Magnolias, the groom's cake was an armadillo or something.
Well, a really good friend of mine, I was one of his groomsmen at his wedding. A guy named Hammy Ward, just a great guy.
And the cake was shaped like a...
Well, Hammy used to play for the Harlem Globetrotters before he got into sales, and then he came on into Aflac, and his career went really well, and he was just great. But his groom's cake was a basketball. First time I'd seen that, it was kind of cool how they did that. So.
I love those kind of cakes and stuff. Although I'm not interested in baking in any way whatsoever.
You're baking. You're just baking the brownies. Never mind.
Oh. Scott said one of us is behind on color pages. Yeah, that would be me. And Scott, Lucretia. Hey, Lucretia.
And June and.
Oh yeah, June said, Lisa, are you telling on us from yesterday? Well, I didn't. I wasn't telling what we were talking about. I was just saying imbibing in alcoholic beverages.
There's a lot of topics that you just can't put out on the live show. They have to go to the green room.
No, you know what happened? I started to say that and didn't. Them guys must think I know everybody in town because just happened that 3 people I knew came in and said hi to me. One of them being a state rep. I'm not sure if they realized that's who it was, but one of them was state rep. And then one guy even stopped at the table and hugged me and everything. They must think, wow, she knows everybody in town. And that's usually not true. It just happened that 3 people I knew were in there that day yesterday.
Send that state rep a copy of the book and tell him that one of his constituents wants him to promote this at the state level.
He and I don't get along that well, believe it or not, because he informed me of my naivete because I won't run as a Republican, and they all are running as Republicans. He's a diehard. He's a porcupine, one of the guys that moved here for the Free State Project, and once they decide on a strategy, they go with it. And sadly, once I decide that I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to get swayed from my original viewpoint.
No, you stick to your guns. You know, I'm somewhere between. I say I'm a libertarian because the truth is, for me, on fiscal issues, I'm conservative. I don't think the government's the answer, but on social issues, I'm not sure I can make decisions for other people. So
that's the definition of libertarian right there.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Right. That's why I'm not willing to say I'm one or the other, because it would be half of their platform I don't agree with.
Right. And it's ridiculous. I don't want to get involved in politics in any way because it's number one, people have gone, as our friend Bob Berg, and all of you who are watching this, if you're not following Bob Berg, go sign up and follow Bob Berg. He's one of the best minds out there. But he did a post a while back, and it said, we've gone from a situation where it used to be, I think this way, you think that way, we just don't agree. Then it became, I think this way, you think that way, you're wrong. And now it's devolved into, I think this way, you think that way, you're evil. And it goes both ways. And I'm not going to get involved in that crud. It is just.
I keep telling the kid, don't forget, I'd say to the kid, from my standpoint, because I'm not one of the 2 parties, it's 2 heads of the same monster. Because the kid always is arguing the liberal side because at school they're pretty liberal. But I said, you know, you got to everything with a grain of salt that's talked about. But anyway, we talk about, I want to talk about all kind of topics with my kid though. And we've done that since the kid was young, including the things Scott and I do about analyzing a business. Because now that kid could tell you everything they're doing wrong at Dunkin', because I talk about it all the time. Well, because the kid will say something when they get the order wrong. I said, you know why the order's wrong? And they said the girl at the window. Nope, it's the girl at the window's boss didn't train the girl at the window. And the boss didn't ever get trained because the girl at the window is supposed to check the order.
Right.
And no one's checking the order down there at Dunkin'. But the kid, I wanted to make sure the kid knew that all along, because if he ends up working down there, I don't want him to pick up their bad habits.
Right. Exactly right. Well, of course, last week we had John David Mann and Anna Gabriel Mann on the show. First time we've had guests, and I thought it went absolutely fantastic. They're lovely people. It was a good episode. I think we probably should maybe have some more guests on. I think that would be a good thing for us. I think our
Jenny.
Do what?
Jenny's coming up.
It was next week, right?
Oh, is that next week?
I think it's next week.
It's the 27th.
Oh, so 2 weeks. Okay.
2 weeks.
I may be doing that from Fort Walton Beach, so I may be on a beach as we do that one.
Well, there you go.
We'll see. My oldest daughter, Lindsay, and her husband and my grandson are going down there for the week. They've invited me to join them. So I'm going to join them for some of it for sure.
Oh, you should. Oh, that's awesome. I wish I was going. I like them guys.
They're nice people. They were raised well. Whitney posted something today on Facebook, and I read it and I thought, that's my girl. And it was something along the lines of, the world is full of nice people. If you can't find one, be one.
I read that too. It was Whitney's. I read that too.
I love my girls.
I wrote that down in my calendar book because I write quotes that I want to keep forever in my calendar book.
Hey, send her a message on that, because she's the mom in the evening. She didn't get a chance to watch the show live, but send her a message on that. I thought it was wonderful. Okay. And
you know what? I'll screenshot the thing, send it on the front of a card, and tell her how much I liked it.
You are amazing. That's a good thing. But today, today I had so much fun. That's what made me think about John and Anna. Uh, Today, Bob Berg put on an event to help John promote the news
Oh, and I
writing
couldn't go.
mastery
How did that
mentorship.
go? How
It
did that
was
go?
fantastic.
Oh, good.
We had friends that are our friends in common on there. Had other friends that were mine on there. The other people, of course, I didn't know. And it turns out our friend Peg signed up for the course too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Then the way that course is going to work, it's going to have some training modules.
Uh-huh.
I think there's going to be 7 of them that John's going to do, and they'll be videoed and
I
they'll
didn't
be
even know she was. Oh, she said writing mastery
yeah.
mentorship. I didn't even know Peg. I didn't even know you were going to write a book. That's awesome.
And it's going to be so much fun. But one of the things that's going to happen, of course, is we get weekly calls, and in this particular case, John's going to be leading those calls, and it'll be mentorship. He's limiting it to 10 people right now, so it's going to be very few people that are in there. But we all are on that call each week, and we're working, and we're supposed to be getting, of course, help from John, but also critiquing as a group. And Peg's going to be in there, and April Sprintz is going to be in there. Love her writing already. I
Yeah,
mean, she's just got. I listened to her book, Magic Blue
Magic
Rock.
Blue Rocks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
listened
I
to
love
it on
that.
Audible, and her voice is amazing anyway. And so I
Oh,
love
nice.
that. But the book was great, and it's just going to be fun to watch so many people be on there. And John is the man, and I don't mean that with 2 ends. I'm talking about one end. He's the man, in my opinion, to learn things like this from. He's just
You know what?
incredible.
We were talking about this on Wednesday's Zoom call because it was an open call. We had guests and stuff, but we almost all of us that are in there for any length of time have trouble talking about what we're doing or winning or achieving without mentioning either somebody else in the group or the group itself
Right,
because it all has root there.
right.
And it's just funny because all these things that we're talking about here, it's the same
It all grows
thing.
out of it. And for those
Yeah.
of you that are in our group here that watches our show and all that, if you're in leadership of any kind, especially, I encourage you to check out the Go Giver Success Alliance. That weekly time that we have in there has become, I always say it's my favorite hour of the week, and that's true.
Well,
But
how could you possibly the money that we spend to do that get mentored by somebody at Bob Burg's level?
right,
How would that really happen in real life? It seems like it's I don't right, and then have all of you. For me, having all of you guys too, not just Bob, but you guys
exactly.
too. I don't know how I would ever arrange that
Yeah.
because you guys just are so high level of um, skill set and achievements.
So are you, Blue?
I've tried hard. You know, I was just talking about this the other day though. When I get on that, I swear to you, I did not think, what am I going to get out of this? I'm paying this in. What am I
Right.
getting out of this? I kept thinking to myself, these guys are all such high level achievers. What value am I going to be able to bring? I better be bringing some value. Every single call I get on, every single thing I do, I better be bringing something. And I always give myself that talk. And I'm not sure I've always delivered, but I've tried.
Well, you have always delivered. And the other thing, too, is you've also gained because Janet Leonard just posted something that is absolutely true that wasn't true a year ago is you love hugs. I've broken you on that one, haven't I?
Oh God,
Well,
Lee Bibbs says you've broken my friend. My friend is broken.
for those
Yes,
of
I
you that
was.
don't know, Lisa and I literally have only met in person one time. She was in San Antonio for an Avon thing, and I drove down there a few hours to get down there. Texas is a big state, and we had lunch together one day. And that's the only time we've ever met. Everything else is in every process in the book was done on a Zoom
On
call.
Zoom.
And but I still laugh because now her clowns have come free. Her emotions are there. She's read this. She's been a part of a great project, and it has changed her huggability. Hey, I've got a question for
Yeah.
you. I
Yes.
posted this in the group earlier, and I would
Yes.
really love to hear your thoughts on this because we've
Oh
got a
yeah.
mixture of people in this group that are in direct sales and in other types of sales like insurance sales or various kind of
Mhm.
careers. When you're early in your career and you are struggling a bit internally with the idea of asking someone to buy your product or your service. How do you recommend to your people they handle that feeling? Because not everybody has it, but a great deal of people come on board in a sales career not necessarily being super excited about, boy, I'm in sales. This is the greatest thing ever. Now, if they get good at it, they become, I'm in sales. This is the greatest thing ever. But what do you coach your people to do?
Well, it goes back to some of the rules. I actually don't encourage people to overcome objections. I said that, like, my favorite word is go next, because you're going to be successful if enough people know what you do.
Right.
So that takes the pressure off, especially new people. It did me, because I wasn't trying to make sales. I was just trying to get more people to know what I do.
Right.
And at the beginning, no one knew what I did. So it was like a wide open world. It's a little harder after 40 years in, because I've tried a lot of stuff. But every day it's a new puzzle. And how am I going to get more people to know what I do that didn't know yesterday?
Right.
Right. And I don't, I know this, you'd probably freak if I was on your sales team, but I don't necessarily have, try to sell people stuff. And maybe it's because our line is so well known, Avon is so well known. Usually they know what they want when I run into someone that knows the brand.
Right.
And I show them new stuff sometimes, but I don't show them like a sales pitch or a story or anything. You know what I do? It's funny. I talk about this on my team call is, even when I like new stuff, if I'm standing in line at the bank or something, I'll pull out a tube of hand cream from my purse and I'll say, did you know that it's hand cream day? And I
love it.
And you know what? No one ever says, keep your hand cream. They just go like this.
It's like when you say, oh, I brought this brochure for you.
That's right. I brought this for you. And I said, did you know it's not, it's hand cream day? And they all just put their hand out. And when we were selling teddy bears for a while. That was even funner because I didn't say anything. I just hold the bear out. And if somebody in front of you is just holding a bear out, you take the bear. And they'd sit there and I would say nothing. And they'd say, oh my God, my grandson Jeff would like one of these. they would like talk themselves into it. And so I'm not a great closer or presentation maker. I'm more like sit around and try to talk to people and try to get more people to know what I do. That's it. So.
Well, I don't know that I've ever had anyone, as I walked in the door, said, hold out a bear. Here's the bear. But I have had people hold out a beer and say, here's your beer. And oh, cool. I like the same principle, just different product. All right.
Well, it's not just a stuffed animal, but like at Christmas, we had a wind up carousel thing. And I just wind it up and just hand it to somebody.
Right.
And I didn't say anything. I just hand it to them. And if it's someone I didn't know, usually they'd say, are you selling these? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm taking orders for these. And then I'd take their order. But I know it's so, I don't know.
Well, I think what you just said proves one of the rules in the book. Like you said, if enough people know what you're doing, you can be successful at anything. I said it kind of backwards, but that's okay.
But so I think that takes the pressure when you're brand new off, because you're not trying to be a good salesman. You're not trying to know everything about the product line. Right. I bet you out of all the Avon reps in the country, I probably know the least amount of this. Everybody's always online going, I need to know all the details of this new cream. And I'm thinking, you don't.
Right.
What you really need to know is tell somebody else that you sell Avon.
Squirt it in their hand. It'll be fine.
Right.
That may get us thrown off Facebook. That looked horrible. I'm sorry.
Now you can tell me why, when I explain stuff like that, and I truthfully am sharing exactly what I really have done all this time, people think it's just me, or I was lucky, or that's not really the way it is.
It's a principle that works. And people what will often happen, Lisa, is when you teach someone anything that works, it still filters through all of the things they brought to the table that would be their whole life.
Oh, well, right. That's true.
And so it gets filtered and played with in their minds. And it's really easy, especially if someone's uncomfortable with the idea of being in sales, it's really easy for them to kind of go in that direction with it. In the sales that I've done, they weren't direct sales. Well, I had a period of time in direct sales, but my career was musical instruments, then industrial uniforms, and then most of that career was insurance. And so when I would be training new people, you'd have two groups. You'd have some people that had been in sales, and I was just teaching them how to do what we did, piece of cake. You'd have others who their life had changed course, and they weren't coming from a sales background, and they weren't always comfortable with it. And what happens is, in their mind, the persona of a salesperson was more what they'd seen on TVs and movies, or maybe kind of like we wrote into the story with Kai, how she kind of was uncomfortable with that because of some things she had seen from salespeople who were, quite frankly, idiots. And so I wrote them as idiots. I can say that.
Well, let me tell you what. So one of the ladies on my team, and I don't mean to pick on her because I kind of picked on her in my Tuesday call, but I know that was not right. But I guess since you're an analytic guy too.
Did you call me a bad word?
Analytic, is that?
Keep going. I'm sorry. I'm distracting you now.
Analytic, okay. But anyway, she was saying she's tracking on a spreadsheet where all the customers come from, so she'll know to do that more. And what I said was, if that makes you feel better, do it, but just know that you might be better using that time making sure somebody else knows what you do. Because she's saying, like, if she put brochures out in the laundromat and didn't have any sales from the laundromat, then she wouldn't do that anymore. But what I'm saying is the turnover in places like the laundromat, the grocery store, you almost can't make that kind of assumption no matter how much data you've got, because it's new people all the time. Right. Some people go there that lost their washing machine and never go back again. You know what I mean? So I just said sometimes you can get analysis paralysis where you're spending so much time collecting data, analyzing data to make sure you're doing the right thing, that you could spend that time just making sure more people know what you do, and it actually would pay you better.
And I've known people, and you've known people, that when they went into that analytical mode, they wanted it to be that they were discovering, this works better, and there's a lot of good validity that, I'm a numbers guy.
Yeah.
That being said, you have to gently, as coach them about, just like you did. And what you're really getting down to is, okay, is that analysis about learning more so that it's easier to do what you do, or is it that analysis is based on you're not comfortable doing some things, so you're using that instead of doing other things you should be doing?
Oh, I didn't think about that part too. I didn't. Yeah.
And so it's a tough call. I remember coaching the salespeople with Aflac, and the new salespeople. I would say, what happens is we get in our mind that what a salesperson is and what they're not, and then it takes a little bit to get past that. You have to be intentional, and especially with the idea that someone might actually say no. Right. And what truly happens with us, and it's embedded in us as children for most of us, is we grow up in the mindset that the word no comes with a consequence. Like you were reaching for a hot stove and your mom or your dad popped your hand and said no, or you were misbehaving and they said no, and it was stern. It wasn't no. If I were to ask you, is it raining outside, and you said no, that's not any intent other than just the answer to the question. But what happens is it gets ingrained into us as children that the word no can have some negative consequences. And so when you get someone who hasn't developed their sales skills yet, and they're going out and they're making calls, or they're asking someone to buy or whatever, and it's not what they're doing, then it can feel the same. And what happens in us psychologically, and I am not a qualified counselor, nor am I a lawyer, nor am I a doctor, but I will tell you what happens, because I've studied this. Exactly.
You play
as often as I could. I'm sorry, guys. Tonight's funny. Okay, but what happens inside us is we develop a somatic marker. The emotion makes us feel something. We change physiologically. Something inside us happens. And if we can learn to recognize that feeling that we're having inside is the real problem and not what's going on in front of us, then we can handle it. And so when someone says no, inside we go, and it's either that no was a negative to us, or sometimes it's the fact that no, it felt like a personal rejection rather than a business decision. And so you have to kind of work past that. But I read a great book one time called The Psychology of Sales Call Reluctance. And I don't remember the authors. I apologize for that, but I'm sure it's still online. You can find it.
Oh, post it in the group later when you look it up.
Okay. If I remember. But the authors, they were making the point about with sales call reluctance, it's not, what it happens is that no makes people feel really strange inside and they don't like it. And then they won't go make more calls because when they think about making the call, it creates the same feeling.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like in the when I'm teaching the concept of fusion points, I talk about the combination of logic with positive emotion makes people want to move forward. We like how that feels. It's easy for your prospects to say yes. It's easy for your clients to move to the next step. It's really good. But the process of a negative emotion in combining with logic, instead of creating a fusion point, which creates a bond, it creates a collision point and you bounce off. And so people who have that, they don't want to do that again. It doesn't feel good. I don't like it. I don't want to do that again. And so but once we recognize whether it's something in your personal life, I know this from people that I visit with that I just love to death and that help me with these things. But when it's your personal life or your business life, if you can learn to recognize, okay, that feeling inside me right now is the problem, not what's going on in front of me. And then take a moment to say, okay, yeah, that's my emotion. That's what's going on. But emotions are like children to a certain extent, and it's okay that they're there, but get them in the back seat and you drive the car. Don D. Scumaci, one of the people who endorsed our book, and also just one of the greatest minds out there right now. She has a phrase that she uses, and I've heard Bob quote her. It's okay to have your emotions in the car with you, just don't let them drive.
Yeah.
So I know we're getting close to 6:27 now.
That was a lesson we all needed. Yeah, no, I guess I don't see the point of, I guess, and I bet you probably agree with her rather than me on this, but when a customer comes to me and wants to buy something, I'm only thinking about how I can give them the best experience. I don't care where they came from anymore.
Oh, I agree with you 100% on that.
Because when I ask people, sometimes they act weird about it anyway. They don't want to tell me who sent them, or they don't want to tell me they wrote it down when they saw me drive by. I don't know why they don't want to tell me, but it doesn't matter to me anymore, because no matter what their answer is, I'm going to keep doing what I was doing.
Right.
So I guess I no longer care where the lead came from. I just want to give her the best service possible so that she might bring me more business, or she'll stay at least.
Right. And if I were coaching someone that was doing what the young lady or young man told you about that,
Mm-hmm.
I would think basically pretty much what you do. It doesn't really matter. But what I would kind of dig underneath there is finding out, okay, is this because you're feeling uncomfortable, so you're putting less time into that analysis instead of going out and do other things that will be productive for you, or is it truly okay? You're smart as a whip. You want to learn this? Okay, good. But I'm
going to ask that because I didn't think about it being about something else. I didn't think about. Thank you.
Most sales call reluctance is never about what's going on in front of you. It's about something else that's either happened to you or you've observed or something. It's very rarely about the
everybody else is getting something out of these shows, but I certainly am. You're teaching me how to be a better business owner.
I'm your partner. I'm going to be like Darth Vader. Lisa, I am your partner.
Oh, you know what? We got those award thing coming up. They're going to do that online. Was that the 20th? That's next week. That's in the afternoon.
Next week. And I wish it was a public thing. The invitation that we got for the Axiom Awards said that it wasn't a public event. We weren't supposed to invite people to go to it. I wish we could.
Yeah.
And last time that I got an award like that, it was in New York. This time I'll be sitting here in Texas on a computer. It's exactly the same, only different.
No, that's why we're going to have to do something. I think you ought to go to DC and make it an annual breakfast we have. I mean, so I see you once a year. Right?
We have to meet up at least once a year and have breakfast or lunch. or coffee.
Thanks for adding that.
By the way, you had mentioned that you don't really work with teaching people to overcome objections. I'm working on a book right now with someone that is,
Oh, it's about objections,
yeah,
overcoming
it's about
objections.
objections, but you don't really overcome an objection. That becomes a battle back and forth. You don't do that, but you do learn how to handle objections. I love the term. A great sales mind, a guy named Jeff Shore, he's in real estate. He talks about neutralizing the objection, which is exactly the concept I teach in Fusion Points. I teach when it comes to an objection, don't overcome an objection. Then you're getting into a debate back and forth, and don't even handle objections to a certain extent because people don't like to be handled. But you can neutralize the objection and you can work on the resolution together, and then you can move forward and you build a bond at the same time. So it's awesome.
I usually just like, for example, if I say to somebody, gee, you'd be good in this business, and they'll say, oh God, I never want to do that. I say, well, probably isn't for you then. And half the time they talk themselves into it to prove me wrong. I'm like, it's not for everybody.
There you go.
And I like back away, and they're like following me.
There was a man that I just thought the world of. He's still around. A guy named Billy Florence, and he used to talk about your posture in the sales process. Excuse me, everybody. Maybe I need more coffee.
Yeah, that's it.
But he was talking about building your direct sales team with posture. And it was about not chasing people because that's a turnoff to everybody. But exactly like what you just said, if you just take it away from them, I'm not sure this is the right opportunity for you. Here's what it is. And you talk about that. And they say, I would never want to do that. So, well, you're probably making the right decision because that means it's probably not for you. I didn't think it was right for me necessarily in the beginning either. And here's what I found out. I mean, there's ways you can work through that and neutralize it if it's important to you. But if you can also just do the famous technique of one of the most famous sales trainers in the world, just like, next.
You know what? You haven't run across this, but I bet Scott will know this one, maybe not. One of my big team members, Shelton's, he's recently passed away, but he was a handful. He was passionate about the business, though. I think they got up to number 7 in the country. They were really, really high up into it. But when he got in a jag about stuff he didn't like, that boy liked to bitch. Oh, sorry, that was but one day he wore me out. I could, but one day he wore me out, and he said, I'm going to quit. And he had threatened that so many times that I said, you know what? I think you should. I think you should absolutely throw the towel in and not look back. You should write in and tell him you want to quit so that I don't have to wait for the roll up any longer than possible.
I'll help you with the paperwork.
I did. I went on at length because I was so sick of hearing it. He never did that to me again. And he told that story about me saying that to him for like a decade. It was hilarious because it was way early on and he kept threatening to quit. And I'm like, you should absolutely just go right ahead.
Well, my first year as a state sales coordinator with Aflac down in the Houston area, I had a district manager in an area that I wasn't going to make that a region. I had plans to make it a region in a couple of years, but it wasn't that year. We're at a party. Actually, it was my birthday party that year, and I'm in the. What's the right? This is probably too much information for our audience, but I was in the men's room. And I'm there doing what I do. He'd had a snoot. He'd had maybe a snoot full that night.
Oh, he was talking in the men's room.
Yeah, and he came up to me while I'm there. And he says, Chef West, if you don't make me a regional sales coordinator by January 1, I'm out of here. And I said, really? He said, that's right. I'm out of here. And I said, I called him by name, which I won't do here because it would be embarrassing if he saw it. But I said, I'm going to miss you. I didn't even stop doing what I was doing.
Yeah, I think that's a Man Village violation.
It is. Don't talk to me when I'm there.
Speaking and peeing simultaneously is a Man Village violation.
The reason that rule is there is because I can't multitask.
Oh, that is so wrong. That is so wrong.
We've gone over. It's 6:34. We love you guys.
Yeah.
By the way,
Peg said, yes, come to DC. I'll get to meet you too. We'll have breakfast with Peg. Come on,
Cool.
Jeff. Come on.
By the way, please, 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 we always do a little bit of promotion at the end. If you
Yes.
haven't read The Unexpected Tour Guide, my first book, please get it or get the Audible version. Start a new Audible membership. You'll get it for free. And then in that audio book, I actually have a way that you can get a free course of mine that's normally $97. I've been selling for years. It's called Build a Golden Rule Referral Network. Sign up for that. You'll get the course for free, and it'll be well worth your time. Or get the lady with the blue hair. Said the lady with the blue hair, because your passion about Lisa and your passion about the book and the way you guys love what's going on with that. What makes it bigger is you. It's when you keep talking about the book everywhere. And if you haven't had a chance to put a rating on Amazon, please do that. If you want to throw a couple of sentences as a review, that would be so appreciated. But please, please, please continue to do that, because I want to make this lady an absolute superstar. And she already is in many ways, but the more you guys do that, the more it elevates her. And I want it to be where she can walk into any airport, not just one when she's going to an event and people say, oh, you're the lady with the blue hair, aren't you? So, we love you guys.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I will put this up on the YouTube channel. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. There's so few ways in this world, in a real world, where we get special coaching from someone of your caliber. So we are all very grateful, including me.
Well,
Thank you.
Your kindness exceeds my abilities, but I am grateful for your comments. So,
well, love you. See you later.
bye, everybody.